Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Slava buffs in update 15.4. This ship, yes, it did get a buff. I'm not sure it needed it necessarily, but let's take a look. As we know, Slava, well known for its accuracy. Oh my goodness, front guns only there is pretty filthy. It relied on getting citadels, though, for its damage, and that's where this buff comes into play. They have upped the alpha damage on the AP shells. So we used to have 12,100 alpha damage, now it's up to 13,450. That's 50 damage shy of Montana AP alpha damage, both ships having 406s. Slava, notably, a lot better accuracy at range. That's a 50k hit or near enough into that poor Iowa at very long ranges. This ship needed to get citadels back in the day, even last update, to get battle impact. That was the weakness of this ship, and now they've basically undone that? I'm not so sure about that, as we're going to see here. I thought it was an interesting playstyle that forced you to find citadels. Otherwise, it was a little bit underwhelming damage-wise. Yeah, we get great dispersion, but on ships like a Bismarck, where we're not getting citadels and we're getting full pens, well, we noticed the lack of alpha damage there, the lack of shells. We don't have 12 guns here, just 9 of them. Not so anymore. 2 salvos up to 80k already. I'm wondering if this buff comes down to a change in the meta, or rather a change in game design. I wonder if we have more ships these days with less exposed citadels, where we're more likely to just deal full pens or even over pen damage like we did to that Prince Eugen there. Still, 3 salvos up to 100k is nothing to be upset about. It's a little sad to see the cruiser go broadside and take nothing, but maybe that's where they're coming from with this buff. I always found Slava to be a very, very good battleship if we could find those broadsides. If we didn't, it felt a little bit weak, and certainly in my playtime with this ship, it still smashes broadsides, as we would assume. Don't ask me why everybody decided to go broadside to be this game, but they did, and we are doing some very, very good damage. But as we'll see in some of the clips later on, we do very good damage now when we cannot get those citadels, whether it be things like German battleships or even angled battleship superstructures. This makes Slava a lot more usable into matches where everybody stays very angled at range and you don't get those broadside opportunities. Is that a buff that we needed or even wanted for the game? For me personally, I see this as a little bit of a sad buff in that it is showing off that the game has become much more passive, much less focused on pushing up and trying to find flanks, more focused on staying in the back, staying angled, pre-kited, and then just shooting AP that overmatches or shooting HE at one another from 20 kilometers away. Slava having 406s doesn't overmatch as much these days, so I guess that's where they're coming from with this buff. That's the only way I can really make sense of this, and that makes me a little sad. I wish the meta would be looked at a little bit more, that we could play a little bit more like we used to, pushing up more, finding flanks, rather than just giving Slava an alpha damage buff to compensate for this change in meta. That's just my theory on it, though. What results, though, is Slava is a very, very solid battleship to play these days, now that we don't have that weakness anymore. We still have the armor weaknesses here. Our bow and stern are both overmatchable 25mm plates. We also only get 32mm of deck armor on this ship, so a lot of HE will full pen us, we'll get overmatched at these closer ranges, which is why you see me over angling a little bit, showing too much broadside. That's where the armor is at its thickest. We still have a pretty solid upper belt, and while the Citadel armor is not quite as protected as Kremlin, it's still a little bit angled, and that allows us to actually shatter and bounce some shells, rather than if I went bow in, we would just be eating overmatch damage. Only shooting our back turret there, fun little trick you can use by turning your front guns close to your ship and then keeping your rear gun targeted toward the enemy. Not necessary, just a fun little trick you can do if you're in a situation where your front guns would donk into the island, but you still want to shoot your rear turrets. Anyways, back to Slava here. The shell velocity is absolutely incredible. This is one of the easiest ships to aim at longer ranges. The dispersion is incredible at range too, thanks to a different dispersion curve than we usually see. This isn't a case of, oh, it's just more accurate at all ranges. Slava, relative to other battleships, is more accurate at range than other battleships are, but at closer range, Slava relative to other battleships is actually a little bit less accurate. That doesn't mean Slava itself is more accurate at range. The dispersion is still going to be better at closer ranges. It's just a flatter curve, I guess we could say, where dispersion doesn't fall off nearly as quickly as it would on a standard battleship dispersion, like a Montana, for example. This means it's still well worth getting closer to enemies. You know, you're not actually getting an advantage by playing so far back, but what it allows us to do is once we've dealt with our flank or we see a nice opportunity to help on the complete opposite flank, maybe a cruiser reversing out broadside on from an island, we can send out a salvo and maybe get some citadels to help out there. It's really fun looking for those opportunities with Slava. I really enjoy that. Reminds me of some of the gameplay back in the day from old Kings of the Sea games and that, looking for battleship crossfires over the maps. Slava is very, very good at that. Notably, though, it's weaker when we have to push in and do some tanking here. It's not going to perform quite so well. Though, if we get the opportunities, people go broadside onto us at close range, yeah, it's going to be lights out. And if you are a ship that does not have a citadel, well, now Slava is going to be much better into you because those full pens are going to hurt much more, like a Montana would be shooting at you, for example. The other real big improvement this means is you're much better into destroyers. The alpha damage buffs here are massive regarding that fight. You only get overpens damage into destroyers. Even if you see a full pen ribbon pop up with your armor piercing, you're getting overpens worth of damage. 10% of your alpha damage. So any buffs to that maximum damage is directly helping us every time we hit a destroyer, which we're often hitting quite frequently when it comes to accuracy that is this good. So big buffs there. We could swap over to the HE, but it's not really that good, and we want to be looking for the broadside opportunities, so that's why I really don't swap to the HE at all on a ship like Slava. So this is a very nice buff as well to help us against those destroyers. A very nice game there where, unsurprisingly, the ship is still incredible when people just give broadside to you. The citadels go absolutely crazy. What happens, though, if you get the broadsides and you're not getting as many citadels as you would maybe like? Thunderer, no citadels there on that salvo. That's okay. That's still a 30k hit. These are just damage numbers we would not have seen before. And I think this is where it eases up on Slava's need to get citadels. It feels less bad when you're playing Slava and you're catching broadsides and maybe you get one citadel. You're still getting solid damage numbers. And this just eases up on the very extreme nature of Slava's damage output, where it becomes a dev strike machine if you catch the broadsides and get the citadels, versus it feels like a tier 9 battleship level damage if you're not getting citadels sometimes. At least that's how it used to feel to me at times. And that does ease things up here. Although if you get good dispersion now and enemy battleships are angled to you, or any ships are angled to you that you don't overmatch, you can aim into their superstructure. And well, we were looking at Colombo the other day, and that was all about angled damage and how consistent it was into angled targets. And that was an angled Montana, still eating nearly 20k from armor piercing into his superstructure. Now that is good dispersion, but still, it's worth noting that this ship now is much more dangerous into any angle, which, if you know me, is likely not what I am hoping for out of this game. I really want angling to matter. I want decisions to matter. I want it to be important that you are playing well regarding your positioning, as well as who you're exposing your broadside to versus your angled ship to. Note that we did 10,000 damage to that bow on Zhao. He can actually bounce our shells, upper belt and deck armor. I wasn't expecting 10,000 there. I think I was expecting a little bit more damage there, though. I mean, that's like a perfect example. I want more damage against broadside ships. I want less damage into angled ships. And this change basically just makes Slava better into angled ships and about the same into broadside ships. And that's the problem I have with Colombo. It's the problem that I have with SAP as well. It's just so much damage. It basically ignores any sort of angling and positioning you're doing because the ammo type. And this is not that level. This is not Colombo levels of SAP ignoring your angling and that and doing a ton of damage. But what it is a small step that helps Slava, admittedly, against the meta these days. But it's unfortunate that that's the direction this meta is going, that Slava needed that buff in the first place. Although even saying that, I'm starting to wonder, did Slava even need this buff? I looked at some of the stats that this ship has, and it's about a 50% win rate. It's also got like 3rd to 5th highest damage on servers for tier 10 battleships. Is that a ship needing a buff? I mean, I don't know. That's a pretty good start though. Of course, we're looking for very common lanes that people are taking early on in battles and just trying to find the crossfires for them. That's really what it comes down to. Anywhere you normally would go yourself as far as a starting position where you want to get to, I mean, we're just looking to go there with our Slava and try and find those cross shots. Hawaii turns in. Maybe that means he lifts his Citadel a bit more? No, it does not mean Citadels for us. A lot of overpens, unfortunately. But we still got damage. You notice that? We still got damage. I'm not looking to be too broadside onto a repub, but I actually do trust our armor here. Notably a carrier double sub game, and those can be very frustrating at times. Slava can afford to play a little further back than most battleships, and so maybe it's okay. I still don't prefer those kinds of games, but early plane spots are why we got that Schroeder, I believe, with such a massive hit. Lepanto, is he broadside enough? That's always what I'm scanning for. I'll look across the map. I see main. We don't quite have the range. I'm running reload mod at the moment, but I'm always just looking for people broadside on. That's the idea here. Is Lepanto broadside enough? Maybe. Yep. Oh my goodness. Did this need a buff? I mean, isn't it interesting to have a ship that's like weak into angled ships, where angling against a Slava is not just really good, but mandatory? And now it's like, it does just better against those broadsides, and now doesn't have as much of a weakness against the angled ships. I don't know. I don't know if that was necessary, but Wargaming decided so. This is by far the least egregious buff this update, though. The Colombo ones were much more extreme. But what about ships like GK? Has anybody ever thought of GK lately? I know that's the common one that we all go to. It's like, how is GK in its current state still? And some of these ships get buffs. But it's questions I'm wondering, you know, just while playing this ship. Angled repub. These are situations where, of course, our ship is weaker. Repub is very difficult to hit the Citadel on, notably. And when he's angled, even more so. Let's try and help on these submarines. And, you know, that's still 8k. That's still 8k. Is this Hawaii going to pop out around the corner? I guess we'll see. I don't really want to take the fair engagement with him. That DPM is pretty scary, and I don't trust myself to actually Citadel him. But if he's willing to pop out here, then I am more than willing to shoot. Look at this. I mean, just look at that. Surely. Yes, sir. Nice. I mean, not a dev strike, but that's okay. It's very, very good damage. He's going to turn out to Stalingrad. All right, Hawaii down. Good to see it. This one's turning into a blowout, I suppose. Really just the play of Slava is looking for people to go broadside onto you and getting yourself into positions where people will go broadside onto you. That's the other part of it. You're not always going to get that every game. I had a few games where Slava felt like it was doing nothing until I would find one broadside. I think that clip of the Colombo was a great example of that at the final clip before this video, or this part of the video. I really wasn't doing much. I went to the flank like I'm supposed to, and then everybody angled to me, which is a benefit in and of itself, right? Where the enemy team is so worried about you that they're going to angle to you over everybody else on your team. But it makes it a little bit harder to play this ship and get the crazy damage. Though we're getting the crazy damage in this one. No Citadel, notably, still a 10,000 damage hit. How well did I lead that? Perhaps too much. Perhaps too much. We'll go in the same spot if he's going that way. Just some subs and a Republic very far away on this flank, which is why we are crossing over. I think maybe I can get some shots on main or like FDR or something like that would be cool. Otherwise, this one's looking pretty over. Blowouts are very common at high tier. That's another reason that I sometimes take a while to record videos, is that you get blowout games, and no ship is really going to perform that well into them. All right, Republic is quite broadside. Oh, and actually that's the game. So 193. That's a pretty good result for a blowout. A lot of the time, blowouts, you're not getting that much damage because things go down so quickly. You don't have the time to build flanks and find those broadsides. But in this one, we did. 7 citadels right off the bat. Did this ship need a buff? I don't know. You know, I can talk a lot about positioning a battleship and that, but we talk about getting the flanks, finding broadsides, and Slava is all about exploiting those weaknesses, those mistakes, and those broadsides. But with a Slava, it's hard to force mistakes, right? Because we're not as easily able to push in and force some close range engagements where enemies get a little concerned about an angle. Like if we get into here, you know, there's some angles here, you know, maybe some cruisers start to go up to this island and realize you're close, try and get it further away, that kind of thing. It's harder to do that sort of thing with a Slava. You gotta be a little more patient, you gotta play a little further back because of the armor difference. And the guns allow you to, but in that regard, we're not forcing mistakes like we could with some other battleships. So we're content to sit at the back here, set up. We got a Colombo here, submarine in this game, another carrier in this game. So early spotting is good for a ship like this one. Does result in some more passive games, of course, but Slava does okay into those. Aha, enemy Schlieffen pushing in. Let's see, did I time this right? He is turning away. Yeah, he's pretty much flat right now. Shells are looking pretty good. It's another 40k hit. Oh my goodness. And then the Colombo hits him too. Poor guy. That is tough, man. That is tough. This is a good ship into broadsides, man. Like, are we forcing these kinds of mistakes? I'm not so sure, but we are certainly taking advantage of them. What is this Austin's plan? Looks like he's going to slow down and turn in, so we'll try and aim for that. Did he slow down completely? No, that looks okay. Oh, pain. Sometimes we won't. Sometimes we won't. Sometimes we won't. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. That looked very good, though. A little low, I suppose. I've been trying to aim lower, though, because I've been finding I get a lot of overpens with Slava. And, again, we really still just care about citadels. Even with this buff. I don't really care about a full pen here or there. I want the dev strikes, all right? We want the dev strikes. Vermont will watch to see if he is going to turn away. Looks like he... not sure. Schlieffen is up. Austin is up. Let's look for that again. Is he going to go in front of that island? He's going to slow down and turn away. So we aim for that, and that looks great. That looks really good. Oh, another 4 overpens. I guess when we're getting overpens, we do like the alpha damage buff. Schlieffen's very broadside. Vermont's very broadside. Schlieffen trying to get out of a bad position, so he's going to turn away. So he's going to be angled by the time our shells get there. Vermont won't be, though. He's just chilling broadside. Slowing down, though, so these shells are going to hit him in the bow. And do no damage. Or go a little low, actually. A little lower than I was expecting. That's okay. Our GK overpushed it. Speaking of GKs and how that ship is doing. Poor guy. Is Vermont going to reverse here? No, he's going to accelerate. Let's see, do those get there in time? Vermont does have good propulsion. Those look great. Okay, that's a really good hit. I mean, we're getting better clips in the live games than when I'm just playing on my own or on stream to get clips for the start of the video these days. All right, well, we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. We're seeing Slava at its best, apparently. Wow, that's crazy. What about Colombo? He's going to turn away. Oh, nice. I finally got a hit there. Are those going to go short? More than likely, he turned away, so they should go short. Yep, and they do. Fine. That's fine. I know I aimed for them to go low. I aimed for his broadside to get the citadels, and they went low. It was expected. It's expected. That's what it comes down to. When the aiming system does something unexpected, that's when I get a little frustrated with it. Now then, angled Slava, or sorry, angled Schlieffen. We'll go for that next. We're playing behind this island because of the destroyer threats. Hayate here, the submarine in front of us as well. A little worried about that sort of thing. So play here. Colombo, pretty good safety net against something like a submarine. So also trying to take advantage of that. And this is more common, okay? I'm sure this is more common to your experience. Like, how is he getting all these broadsides? And to be honest with you, we're getting quite fortunate. People are just walking broadside onto us in these games so far. A lot more games look like this, where we're just shooting at angled targets, and then we're more reliant on our alpha damage buff for full pens and over pens. Okay, now it is time for us to get smashed by the submarine. I'm quite stationary here. Maybe Hindenburg can hydro for us or something. Looking not so good. Maybe I can reverse out of some of this. We do have decent propulsion, but no, it doesn't look like it. It's a lot of damage. This is the risk of playing Bao on, of course. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Hindenburg. Let's try and deal with the battleship. That would be a problem. Or rather, maybe we should go after the destroyer, eh? We have our alpha damage buff now. May as well. That's pretty good dispersion, I would say. Let's see what we get. 4 hits. That's a little low. Would have hoped for more. Nice. Colombo gets the archerfish. But that is another situation where the buff is certainly coming into play for us. Enemy Schlieffen is low, so we should probably go after that. Although more likely we should go after the Hayate. I will go Colombo because he's broadside, but I would like to hit Hayate if he gets spotted. Barbiano is going to get our Tempesta by the looks of it. Oh, actually, Tempesta got a heal. Okay, another 20k hit. No Citadel, notably, but that is that's our alpha damage coming into play. Does the Barbiano go down to Tempesta secondaries, maybe? Ooh, not quite. That's too bad. Would have been very nice to trade that out. Hayate is up briefly. Okay, we need to focus up. Pick a target. Our Turtreverse is not amazing. Yeah, I wonder if the answer here is actually the Richthofen, because we're not going to get a good opportunity here after this salvo. He's turning out slightly. Maybe not, actually. So we'll go there. We got to push with our Hindenburg. We've been too passive, more than likely, this game. If I was to critique what I've been doing, been playing a little too cautious. There's a good hit. Okay. Richthofen, though, is not doing a full turn out. So if he gets spotted again, we might actually be able to take him out here, which would be good because we've already lost our carrier somehow. So evening up that playing field would be excellent, as would taking out this destroyer. Both are important. Richthofen is spotted, so we'll go after that. Hayate spotted as well. Now. Come on. Oh, no citadels. Only 10k. Our Hindenburg is doing an incredible job, by the way. Pushing in like this into carrier, into Colombo after him. That's very difficult. Very, very difficult stuff. So let's make sure we comp. I bet he is frustrated with his battleships for playing so passive. I'm sorry, man, if you see this. I was kind of just getting broadsides at the back of the map, so I was chilling. Nice, okay, carrier down. Now, do we push into C-cap? I believe so. We saw the Barbiano actually going back that way. We want to help on the Hayate. We want to take focus for our poor Hindenburg friend. So let's keep looking this way. Colombo has been turning away most of the time. Will he get that turn in time, though? I'm not sure. Ooh, not quite. Not quite the citadels there. Colombo notably quite difficult to citadel. Spotted by what? Is that Barbiano coming out of the gap, or is this Hayate here? Torpedoes, direct front. Is that Hindenburg Hydro that's spotting that? Interesting. Oh, nice. I get a shot here. Come on. We only need 2, I think. Oh, we needed 3. I was hoping it was only 2 with our buff. We'll angle into Colombo. Still hurts. Oh, that's tragic. That is tragic. Maybe a secondary hit. He's gonna be here-ish. Maybe wait. I think our sub is coming up. So he'll spot him briefly. No blind fire needed. Yeah, nice. Good. Okay, we get him. I think we have seen his torps already, so we can afford to angle with guns right now, which I want to do because it keeps us angled to Colombo. It gets us angled to where maybe Gearing is looking at us from. I'm not sure. And then we can take a look at Schlieffen as well with all of our guns then. Very notable that our 2 Gearings on the other side have lived, and not only lived, but done a good job on that other flank. Good DD players don't come around very often, so we gotta appreciate them when they do. Gotta help them when they do too. Us not being spotted here makes me think Barbiano got away around the corner. Perhaps that is who is in the decap now. This map can sometimes devolve into like chasing everyone around the island. In this case, like, we could go up to B to try and head them off. We're ahead on points, so I don't feel the need to do that. I would much rather actually stay and support my destroyers here. There are times, though, where heading through the gap is correct. I don't believe it is right now, though. Again, we're just here to try and support our DDs. So there's the Gearing fight coming through. 2 Gearings versus 1 should be our Gearing's favor, but we might lose 1 in a trade here, depending on how this goes. I really wish I was around in time to help on this. Colombo, yep. That's why you need Battleship support. Or you want it, at least. Don't know where Schlieffen is. He could pop up on our broadside. But it's worth sprinting as fast as we can to help on this. Yeah, there's Schlieffen. And there's Gearing. Okay. No, I only got 2 there. Please tell me that this Gearing doesn't have torps up. Oh, our Gearing does. Okay. A bit of a yoink, a bit of a yoink, a bit of a yoink, certainly. But I needed him to not live. I was worried that they would trade each other out if the enemy Gearing had his torps up. Colombo notably is going behind this island. Schlieffen on our broadside is a problem. He's low enough that I don't have to swing all of my guns, though. In fact, he's done. All right, let's get the cap. And now here's Colombo. Let's heal. So that's going to hurt. Yes. Barbiano is in A. Good. Good enough. Good enough. I'm actually going to rep that. I can greed that out because Colombo, it's only his secondaries that really I would be worried about potentially for fires. Colombo is turning in right now. He knows he's got to take the fight. And that turn in might be enough for us to get a massive hit on him here. Yes, sir. Nice little 28k chunk. That's great. We'll try to angle in. Okay, our upper belt, I think, ate that alongside our guns. Otherwise, that would have been a lot more damage. Colombo has great firing angles, as we know. So we're going to swing out and just shoot his superstructure. Not upper belt, superstructure is what we're looking for here. Although into his guns, I suppose, works. That is the most cross-eyed Slava dispersion I think I've ever seen. Wow, that's wild. It's fine, though. Even I don't want a ram, obviously, but even a ram works. Oh, Torps, let's not block. Oh, did I slow down in time? I think so. Nice. Surely this time it's a little more accurate. Yeah, there you go. 8K, almost 9K out of that one. Interesting, he's not shooting us. I'm trying to bait him into shooting me, actually. Smart, I guess, to not go after the gearing. And gearing gets him. Nice. A good win here at the end. I played too passive at the start, but that is how Slava needs to play, right? It kind of needs to play passive with the armor layout. I think it worked out, though. And that's actually our E for the video. That's kind of neat. Well done to our team, though. Certainly would not have won this without our team. A lot of spotting, and then, of course, the enemy's just going broadside onto us. I don't have much of an explanation for that. They just kind of went broadside onto us. So, does it need a buff? It still would have done just as good for the vast majority of these battles. There were times, though, where I noticed where my ship into angled targets did certainly struggle. And it's a little better into that. It's still not good, but Slava's a little bit better into that now. Here's the build that I was running. So when we use heavy AP shells, a buff to the base alpha damage, then this is percentage stuff when it comes to heavy AP. So it's 14,459 alpha damage now. That's a lot. That is a lot. That's a lot. We have great detect, bad turning radius, okay rudder time. The AA is okay. I would not say any AA is very good in the game anymore because of the immunity consumable that carriers now have. So I'm not even going to call that out as much of a strength of this one. Notice I was running reload here. I think the alpha damage buff lends itself to shooting more when you don't have the perfect broadside opportunities all the time, because you're going to do good damage into angled ships now, or better damage than you used to, certainly. And the reload then allows you to just pump out that salvo more often and then get back to your guns if that broadside opportunity does arise. Prop mod, because Soviet battleships just have insane built-in acceleration, so we want to use that to our advantage to do some speed juking, that kind of thing. Here is the armor layout, overmatchable, pennable by a lot of HE, so not as tanky as a Kremlin. But if you can over-angle, like expose too much broadside, you do have 150 here and 370, 350. It's still got that angle like Kremlin does, so it's like 100 millimeters less, but it still is angled, so at medium to longer ranges, it's hard to actually Citadel A Slava. This ship is still very, very good. It needs broadsides, though, so if you're not catching those broadsides, it can feel a little frustrating to play this ship, because then you're not really seeing the strengths of it at all. You're just seeing the weaknesses at that point. But if you can catch those broadsides, then you're going to be in for a good time. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.